We have broken rules in this House. Even to this moment, Chairman Schiff and the others have broken House Resolution 660 by not turning over the things that they should be turning over. I still have not got a transcript. We still don't know what we got. And the White House still has not got their stuff. I guess minority hearing rule days don't matter either. You see, there is a problem here because we're going to vote this tonight while breaking the rules. What a shameful incident. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't going to be that fun. Because when you look at it, when you actually trash the rules of this House, you ought to really look at what did you gain at the end by trashing the institution you claim to love.
The moment the congressman stepped up to the microphone, the entire chamber seemed to tighten. Tension hung in the air long before he said a single word. Then, with a steady breath, he launched into a blistering address that caught nearly everyone off guard. He didn't ease into it. He went straight at the heart of the issue, calling out the impeachment effort with a force that made the room go still. Instead of the usual political back and forth, he delivered a stark warning. Congress was steering itself toward a crisis of its own making. His voice cut through the hall as he accused the process of being driven by partisanship rather than truth. You could see lawmakers shifting in their seats, glancing at one another, unsure of how far he would go. He painted a picture of a legislative body drifting away from its responsibility, urging his colleagues to recognize the damage being done, not just to a president, but to the institution itself. Every line built on the last, rising in intensity, until it became clear that this wasn't just another speech. It was a moment that demanded attention. By the time he stepped back, the chamber wasn't the same. The debate hadn't just escalated, something had shifted. And before we dive deeper into what happened next, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content just like this.
Madam Speaker, a few weeks ago, just off of this floor, I said that a dark cloud was descending upon this body. And today, because of the clock and the calendar, it is closing. It is amazing to me what I just heard from the majority leader, that Mr. Schiff and Mr. Nadler presented a compelling case for impeachment. If this is a compelling case for impeachment, I'm not sure why we're here right now. It is not anywhere close to compelling. Stop the clock and let me go around to the press corps and to everybody here, and I'm going to accuse you of something. You did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. Now prove it's wrong. You did it. Guess what? You don't want to, because deep down you know that that's turning the entire jurisprudence of this country upside down. You're not guilty until you're proven. You're innocent. And today from this floor, we have heard the majority leader say this president is guilty and not the other way around. He is innocent, and these come nowhere close to proving it. But what is left of this body? Let's have an honest conversation, Madam Speaker. What we have found over the past few weeks is it is okay for the majority to tear down a foreign leader because they can't make their case. They've called him a liar or weak or worse, or as it was called in the committee, even looked like a battered wife. It is below the dignity of this body and this majority to tear down a foreign leader because they can't make their case against this one. We have broken rules in this House. Even to this moment, Chairman Schiff and the others have broken House Resolution 660 by not turning over the things that they should be turning over. I still have not got a transcript. We still don't know what we got. And the White House still has not got their stuff. I guess minority hearing rule days don't matter either. You see, there is a problem here because we're going to vote this tonight while breaking the rules. What a shameful incident. But we also found in creative interpretation of minority rights. We saw the rise of partisanship because of things that have been done even further. And we've even seen members smeared in reports by drive-by political hacks when they matched numbers of the majority or the ranking member and the members of the press. That ought to concern every one of you as much as it concerns every one of us. Nothing but a drive-by hit. But you know something? This majority leader also just said, wherever law ends, tyranny begins. But I will say this, in this House, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule actually began, and the majority has taken that to a new level. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered, and this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority, and it ain't going to be that fun. Because when you look at it, when you actually trash the rules of this house, you ought to really look at what did you gain at the end by trashing the institution you claim to love. That's the things we found out so far. But you know, they're really careful saying, oh, you want to deal in process and process. As I said last night in the Rules Committee, where they didn't want to listen, I'll win on process and I will win on facts because we have the truth on our side. Let me remind you that here's what the process actually says. There was no pressure. Look at the call. President Zelensky, President Trump, no pressure. There was no conditionality. There was nothing done to get the aid, and the aid actually came. There were 5 meetings. But when you look at it right now, none of which matter, because right now the dark cloud is descending upon this house. And I am fearful, Madam Speaker. When I look out in that abyss, I don't know what I see, but I tell you what I do see. I see coming off a president who will put his head down even through this sham impeachment, and he will do his job. He will put the American people first.
When the congressman stepped away from the microphone, the chamber didn't just quiet down, it settled into a heavy stillness, the kind that only follows a moment that strikes deeper than expected. What had begun as another debate had transformed into something far more consequential. His message hadn't been wrapped in political theater or empty rhetoric. It was grounded in a sober warning about the path Congress was carving for itself. A path that threatened to undermine the very foundation that keeps the nation steady. He didn't speak to defend a personality. He spoke to defend a principle, one that has survived wars, transitions of power, and generations of political battles. He reminded those sitting before him that the rules that protect justice aren't supposed to bend based on who's in charge. They exist precisely so no one can twist them when emotions run high or when power becomes tempting enough to justify shortcuts. As he continued, his tone shifted from pointed criticism to something more solemn. He painted a vivid picture of what happens when lawmakers decide the ends justify the means, how quickly fairness erodes, how easily due process falls aside, and how silently the credibility of the institution itself begins to wither. And with each sentence you could feel the weight of his warning pressing deeper into the room. He challenged his colleagues to think beyond the moment, beyond the pressure of party expectations, and imagine how history would view this chapter. Would it see a Congress that protected its principles when they were tested, or one that allowed political urgency to override the safeguards designed to protect every American, regardless of their beliefs? His final words weren't loud, but they resonated like a verdict. When you dismantle the rules that ensure fairness, you don't damage a rival. You damage the very institution you claim to uphold. And that truth lingered long after he stepped away. The applause that followed wasn't explosive. It was measured, thoughtful, almost reflective. Because what he said wasn't meant to inflame. It was meant to remind. A reminder that some moments define more than a vote. They define whether the nation moves forward on principle or slips backward into partisanship. And if you've stayed with us to this point, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep, powerful breakdowns right here on Current Insights.